like going to be the last handful of virtual events, and then everything's going to be in person. So we're really happy to be able to chat with you all this morning. Thank you.
Everyone, I'm Suzanne Feinstein. I'm the director of the Master of Marketing program. It's so great to see you all here.
Thank you. And also, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jerry West. I am in the Student Affairs Office in the Academic and Student Life Office. And I will let my colleagues introduce themselves. We are the hosts of this event, and we are part of something which we'll mention a little later called the International Student Care Gathering, which we wanted to let you know about and how to be a part of. But I'm going to ask Emiko and Brooke to introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Emiko Baldwin, and I am with the Leadership Development Programs team. Welcome, everyone. It's so great to see everyone's faces. I know you're all in different time zones, so it's probably very late for some, perhaps very early for others. I know it's somewhat early for myself and the team here, but glad to really see you all.
And hello, everybody. My name is Brooke Meisner. As Emiko is saying, it's great to have you joining us. Appreciate your taking the time to do this. So I'm on staff in the Career Management Center. I work especially with our MBA population, but I also spend a lot of time working with international students. So it's great to have you here. I'm glad we all get a chance to connect.
So thank you all for those introductions. And we're going to give you a brief overview of some information that you may have already heard of, but we're just going to pop up some screens and run you through some of the information that might be helpful for you to see. And we'll have a time period where you can ask some questions. So as we go through, feel free to put it in the chat, but we will just know that also near the middle to end, we will also have a time for you to address specifically questions that you have. So Brooke, would you like to get started on showing what the International Headquarters Brightspace page is? And this is a page that Brooke has worked on to create, in addition to the checklist you may have already seen on the Owen onboarding page. This is specifically for international students throughout your time at Owen. There will be resources that you can find there. So you want to make sure you know where it is and how to find the things that are there.
Great, thank you, Jerry. So as you all can see here, this is a couple of screenshots of the International HQ page. International HQ is one of the Brightspace courses. So if you think of the Owen Incoming International or Owen Incoming Student Information Brightspace page, this is just another one of those. Once you get started in courses, you'll have other Brightspace pages. So this is a Brightspace page that's created specifically for Owen International students. So a lot of the content is things that will hopefully be of help to you. We've created it so that it's something you'll hopefully start using now, but you'll use it throughout your time at Owen. The way the course is set up, there is information that is kind of divided up for different groups of international students, basically around different programs that you all are in. So sometimes if one class can see, if one program can see things, sometimes another program may not, but hopefully it's all there for the people who need it. And I'll say this is also a work in progress. So if you ever have ideas or input of what we could add, if you think things are missing or not working, please feel free to let me know. I'll also introduce one other person who's with our office, the Career Management Center. He is a graduate intern with our office, and he is a current international student who's in Peabody College. So Anshi, do you mind saying a quick greeting to everyone?
Hi, everyone. It's good to see you all. My name is Anshi. I am currently a third-year master's candidate at Peabody College, and I've been working as a graduate assistant since this January. Good to see you all.
Great, thank you. And he's also been a big help with International HQ page here. So, so hopefully when you hit the International HQ page, you'll see some of the content you have right here. And then if we move forward, you'll get a sense of, these are basically the main areas of content under the table of content. So there's some pre-arrival content. We'll be talking about that in a moment. those are things you'll be using. But if, Emiko, if you go back for 1 second, also, some of you will soon have access to the orientation information. So that'll be coming soon. Jerry mentioned the International Student Care Gathering. Some of that information is up there already. And there's more information around some of the other topics you see. Actually, I just started recording this session as well. And once this is all done, we'll record this and have this in the webinar library there. So you'll be able to access that as well. And we'll be doing that with some of the other sessions that we do too. So just want to give you a quick idea of what International HQ is like and encourage you to visit it. Our hope is that it is a place where if you have a question that is sort of specific to you as an international student, that this would be one of the first places that you would go to look. So moving forward, let's take a look at, I mentioned the pre-arrival part of the course. So if you haven't had a chance to view this, I encourage you to do so. What's highlighted there is there's a survey. We ask people to go ahead and fill out a survey. It gives us some really helpful information, some things around if you've been in the US before, how much experience you have speaking in English in past work settings, or if you've attended a university in the US or where you're speaking English. So a lot of things that are going to help us around orientation.
Hey, Brooke, can I just, sorry,
Yeah.
to interrupt. Is everyone seeing the screen? There are some folks who may not be seeing the screen. Anybody who isn't seeing it?
You can let us know in the chat if you're not able
Laura
to.
isn't seeing it.
That's okay. Keep going if everyone is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glad to know it's sorry, Mara, but it seems like it's working for everybody. Okay, thank you, Brooke.
Yes, and if anybody has an issue like that while we're going, please feel free to use the chat and let us know. So there's that student survey part that you can all fill out. It should take only a couple of minutes. It's really helpful for us to have that information. And then next up, you'll see there's some pre-arrival steps that we've highlighted. I will say currently a lot of the content on there, Emiko, if you don't mind moving forward on the slides, the pre-arrival steps are sort of a little bit more in depth. A lot of it is around Career Management Center content, some things, and this is currently really it's more focused towards our MBA students, but it's basically some things that if you haven't done these things already, you should be thinking about these things, especially working on your resume, creating a LinkedIn profile, clarifying your career interests and some of those other items. So yeah, encourage you all to use International HQ. And like I said, if you have any questions on that, please feel free to let us know. Yeah, so that's a quick overview of International HQ.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke. I also just want to make sure that we are clear that the International HQ page is specifically Owen oriented. It's things that are career focused or the onboarding of orientation, but anything as relates to you, your visa status, that is really officiated out of our International Students and Scholar Services Office, the ISSS office. There's really no substitute for them. So if you have a concern about travel, whether you can or should at a certain time, obviously when you get here, you're going to check in, do your CVIS check-in, that will never change. You will always go to them about those items, and they're the ones that are, the official word on those things. So just to clarify. Thank you, Brooke. So I wanted to bring up just a couple of topics too that are really important for you to start working on. And one would be housing. And now I am not seeing the screen for some reason. There we go. Thank you. And I want to make sure that if you haven't already, hopefully you've made some progress, maybe you already here. Hopefully you've got an idea about where you'd like to live. But if you haven't, our past students have said this is really one of the things that can take up a lot of time upon arrival if you haven't been able to make some progress. Optimally, hopefully, you'll be able to actually secure something before you get here. If that doesn't work best for you, we'd like to encourage you to arrive as early as possible for your schedule and for what your your visa will allow, to really get that settled, because Nashville has always been a very challenging market. It's even more so now. And we really want you to really emphasize that so that you can get that sorted out. You don't want to be trying to go through orientation while you're also trying to meet with rental properties and find out where you'd like to move. So we want to encourage you. We would love to say that we have some magic resource to help you find that really super special location, but there really isn't one for us, and want to just make sure that you have seen, this is the screen for on the Owen onboarding site where the housing links are. Okay. I also wanted to point out, there were some specific ones there. I also want to point out, you should have received, hopefully you've seen it and read it, an opportunity, which is new this year, for you, if you would like to opt in to a brief employment opportunity during our orientation. Orientation begins the week of August 2nd, and we would run through August 13th. And why would we do that for 3 to 4 hours of opportunity for you to support? We do need help, actually. We'll really appreciate the help from those of you who are opting in. But the other really important opportunity we want to provide for is that this would allow anyone who wants to pursue a Social Security number in the US to begin that process. And I say begin the process because we don't provide a Social Security number for you. That is an application process that you make. When you check in with ISSS at your CVIS check-in, they can tell you the steps for that. There is also a website, our specific web page on the ISSS website to talk about that. So if you wanted to check out, there's more details there, and they would be the ones to help you figure out next steps. But this is what this seeks to provide. Even so, I had a question from a student who already has an SSN. They don't really need one. What would be the advantage? Should I sign up for this? Is it helpful to me? And I would say that's totally up to you. I think could be a really great opportunity. We're planning on making it a time when you get to meet us. Those of us who are working on the orientation team, you'll get to see what the Owen building is like. You'll get to see how things are working, and you'll get to meet other people, your classmates currently and other folks who are there. So you have do you have to decide right now? Not today. You need to decide by July 6th. So after the US 4th of July weekend, by July 6th, if you can sign up through that form that was on the email that you received, and we'll begin putting your names in, and there's not going to be an interview process. You're accepted. If you would like to participate, you do have to actually do the work. You do actually have to show up. And so 3 to 4 hours, we anticipate those tasks to be things like meeting and greeting, helping take a box from one room to another, telling people where a session is if they're coming in a front door to go to the next session. And those sorts of typical sort of conference-like orientation things that you can think of might need to be done, they'll need to be done. Particularly challenging for us will be that we're going to be spaced out all over campus this year due to our building project. So if you have questions, those will be some of the more about this. Those will be some that you can ask near the end of today's session. So next, we're going to provide an opportunity for you all to get just a couple of minutes to interact with each other. Emiko is going to describe what we're going to what the steps are for that, but also we'd like you to really share if you've made progress in housing, for example, or if you're here already, to share that with the people that you're in the group with. Then we'll come back, and then you'll be able to ask questions that you may have had, but Emiko is going to describe that for you. Thanks, Emiko.
So as Jerry just said, we really want you to, part of these sessions is for you to get to know each other and meet each other, not only for us to meet you, but you all to start to connect. And so, as she said, we're gonna break you into groups here shortly, put you into smaller breakout groups of 3 to maybe 4 people. And during the breakout session, so you're not just staring at each other. We want to give you a couple of guidelines for your conversation. And so part 1 would be about introducing yourself. Please take turns to share something about yourself, get to know each other, whether that is the company that you're with, what country obviously you are coming from, maybe something about your hometown, a hobby or a personal interest, anything that you are comfortable sharing with each other. And hopefully you will find something that is common across all of you. So that's part one. And then the second part, as Jerry was saying, I know having moved to a different country, a different place, you all have different questions. And so come up with, brainstorm one question your group would like to ask this group. And when you come back to the large group, we will please assign one person from your group to put your question into the chat. And please do not mind about grammar or your phrasing or the words. We don't care. Just ask your question and put it in the chat function, type it into the chat function. And then we will take some time to try to answer all of those questions. We may not have time to do them all, but we'll do our best. Okay, so Brooke, are we ready to send everyone to the breakout session?
Yes, I think we are. I think we're all set.
Okay.
If I'm going to open the rooms in just a moment, if you have any problems, please just hang tight here and then we'll get you assigned to a room and we'll go from there.
And these instructions I did upload to the chat. So hopefully if you'd like, please download them so you have them as you go into your groups.
All right, I'm opening the rooms now. Okay, we are back.
There's everyone. Welcome back. All right, do we have everyone? It looks like we have everyone. Okay, well, hopefully you had a chance to get to know each other a little bit. I know it wasn't very much time, but while we wait, I think a couple things. Brooke is going to launch a poll, a question. So we would like for everyone to participate in that. But while you do that, someone from the group that you were in, please put your question into the chat function as well. So it looks like we've got a very large group of MBA students, and we certainly have at least one MSF and one MMark student, it looks like. Thank you, Rishabh. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly for your question.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, the questions are coming in. Wonderful. All right. We have questions around the meal plan here on campus, or meals, how the meal plan works. We have a question on the process for getting a driver's license. Let's see. We have a question about the vaccine, it looks like, and getting that vaccine. Two questions from the team 7. So one is around filing taxes in the US as international students, and the other one is around transportation. Would you recommend us getting cars? We've got, which are the best neighborhoods to live in around for an Owen student, and another question around the vaccination. Okay, thank you all. Wow, some great questions. How about we start with maybe the question around neighborhoods to live in, just related to housing, since we've talked about that already. And I think any one of us could jump in, but Kim, or Jerry, would you
I was
like
just
to
going to
start?
say, I'll start with an overview or a high point perspective, which is if you do not have a family or children, I think the strongest recommendation would be to be as close to campus as you can. You'll want to be there in the evenings. You'll want to go to meet up with teams that you're working with, and you'll want to be able to get back and forth as easily as possible. So, and when I mean as close, like walkable. If you are going to be in a location like that, unless you really have been planning on wanting to have a car, I don't think you need it. With that said, we don't have the public transit infrastructure that you may be used to, and others can speak to that. If you have a family and there's a specific school area that you want to be in, or you don't know if you have an opinion about that, you need to do some homework. And I would say use that resource. Also connect with other current Owen students. Hopefully you have, and that'd be great to have some feedback to you all if you have been added to Facebook or Slack pages just yet, where you can reach out to second years. That would be a strong recommendation there. If you are planning to live, for example, some families choose to live out in like Brentwood or Franklin, you would definitely need a car.
And just, I know, just to add a little bit to you, and Kim, you can add as well, but I know in the past we've had a family who lived fairly close to Owen, not as far as Franklin, as Jerry mentioned, which is in the next county. But there are school zones and things like that. So, you know, one is the Green Hills area, which is not too far from Owen or Vanderbilt, but has some really great schools in that neighborhood. And Kim, go ahead and add to that, please.
Yeah, when I moved here, I didn't have a car. I was coming from a big city from Chicago where I didn't need a car. And I chose a place that was on the number 7 bus line. The bus system in Nashville is subsidized by Vanderbilt. So for Vanderbilt students, it's free. You just show your ID card, which is a wonderful benefit. So many students choose to live along the number 7 bus line, which goes from campus out to Green Hills, which is about 2 miles away. So you definitely would not need a car if you did that. And there are grocery stores along the way. I love taking the bus. When I was going to campus, I would try to take the bus every day. And it was a great way to see a lot of the international students and check in with them. So I encourage you to do that if you don't want to buy a car.
All right. I'm going to keep moving us along. I'm sure there may be other questions around housing or neighborhoods and such, but we do have several questions about being vaccinated. So again, Jerry, if you'd like to start, I think that the question is, can people be vaccinated once they're here in Nashville?
And the information is just coming out, so I don't have it here in front of me, but my understanding is that the Student Health Center will be providing the Johnson & Johnson 1-dose vaccine. Any of my colleagues who have additional information, please share that. But you should, if you have not received as explicit information on that from your recruiter, I would reach through them, and these things are being updated as we speak as to how that will be handled. But I do know that the Johnson & Johnson will be available for those who have not been able to receive a vaccine where you are currently located.
And Kim, go ahead and add, please.
Thanks. The information is posted on the website, and we also sent out an email with the information about being vaccinated. Right now, the health center, the Student Health Center, is open just 2 days a week, and you can make an appointment. They should be opening up additional hours once students are able to arrive. You can either get the vaccine at the Student Health Center, or there's also a link for where you can get it other places in Nashville. And I hear that the CVS, the drugstore right across the street from Owen, also is giving it. So that would be very, very convenient. And if you have received a vaccination in your country that is not WH certified, you will need to get one that is once you arrive here.
And Kim, I think they said, we read that if you get the J&J vaccine, or if you get, I guess, dose 2 of a 2-dose vaccine, you need to wear your mask for 7 days after your vaccine date, but you are allowed to attend class and you are allowed to be on campus. You just need to socially distance and wear your mask for those 7 days.
Correct. Thank you, Mara.
Okay. Let's move to the question from the group that asked about how the meal plan works on campus, and is it ideal for people staying off campus? So I don't know if Suzanne or Maura or Kim.
I'll pipe in until someone has another response. I don't think if I were living off campus that it would be the most optimal in the long run. I think you can always go into the dining hall and pay for a meal outright with cash or a credit card. I would say that the average Owen student does not take a meal plan, partly because dining services is open for specific times for specific meals. I think the schedule is such that if you find you're going to be meeting with a team and you're somewhere else and not near when dining services, when the meal is provided, it becomes challenging. You will, however, get to try it out at orientation, because we are going to be having meals in the dining hall at Rand and Surratt. So I'm sure they will be thrilled to give you additional information should you choose to opt in for the semester and try it out.
Maura?
Jerry, I was going to say the same thing about trying out the cafeteria during orientation. I do think there are a couple different options, and I think one of them is adding some cash or adding money to your Vanderbilt ID card, and that can be used at different coffee shops. And so there are, if you go to the Vanderbilt Dining Services webpage, you might see an option where you think it would be more convenient to have money on your Vanderbilt ID card. So if you're out and you want to get a coffee somewhere and you don't have your wallet, or if you're like coming back from the gym and you want to get, a drink. So check out all those different plans.
That's a great point, Maura, because I do believe that some of the smaller shops across campus no longer take cash. So it'd be good to check in with that, and I'm sure dining services will be happy to update us on what they're currently doing.
Anchi, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to say that it's definitely not compulsory for students who stays off campus. But I think for off-campus students, you can buy a meal plan. You just need to go to the rent center and purchase that. And for some people, it might be cheaper if you pay the meal at the by the meal plan instead of just pay cash. And also, there are restaurants near campus that can also accept meal plans, so that would be a convenient part.
It looks like Maura put a link into the chat, so thank you for doing that, Maura. All right. There have been questions around, I know we haven't covered the driver's license question. Maybe we can just send a link to try to answer that question as a follow-up. Going back to housing, there's a question related to any recommendations for obtaining renter's insurance. Does anyone have any recommendations around that? Jerry, do you have any insight?
I don't have insight on that.
Okay.
I wonder if
I
it might be something on the ISSS website.
Okay.
I
We will.
I was going to say,
Driver's license.
yes, anything like, as well as to Kim said, the driver's license, they will have some information there, and renters. And if these sort of questions that pertain to your relocating, if you don't find them at Owen, I would then next look at the ISSS website. And if you're not seeing anything there, they're busy trying to get your records, onboarded, but they do also have sometimes anecdotal insight on these questions.
Okay. Okay. In the essence of time, we're going to move on to, and we will download these questions and make sure we have them covered. So one way or another, we will send you some follow-up or post links or information on International HQ after this session, because I do want everyone's questions to be at least acknowledged and answered. And then I'm going to go back to sharing the screen because we do have a little bit more information to share with you all. So as we wrap up, thank you all for your great questions, and hopefully that helps. And I'm sure there's even more questions coming, but keep them coming out to your recruiting manager or any one of us here. All right, passing it back to you, Jerry.
Thanks, Emiko. Yeah, and we just want to spend a minute just to tell you a little bit about what is this. We're going to call it ISCG for short throughout the year. And that's the International Student Care Gathering. And what is that? We're really looking forward to having our very first one will be on August 6th. Thanks, from 4 to 5:30. And we are going to serve food. And the agenda is generally to get together, to see each other, to hear how you're doing. If you have a question, we're there and you can ask and you can greet your colleagues. And we will be inviting second-year MBAs as well. So you have the chance to meet other classmates that you might not see otherwise. But there's really no set agenda other than we just want to see you. We want to meet you. We want to get to know you and find out how things are going for you along the way. So we have these throughout the year. We generally try to have them once every 2 weeks or so throughout the mod. We take breaks during winter break and over the summer. But we're going to have our first one and on August 6th, and we will look forward to seeing you, meeting you, and Brooke or Emiko, would you like to add?
I was just going to add, we are doing a little bit of, or this session today is a little bit like ISCG, where we kind of just, as Jerry said, there's no, very little agenda. Today we had some agenda items, but it's really information sharing, and hopefully for you all to feel like you have not just the greater community at Owen, but a smaller community where you have shared experience of being here in the US, coming from another culture, another country, and just have each other to connect and support with. And obviously we want you to meet all of the rest of your classmates in each of your programs, but this is a chance for you to also just have a really small support unit while you're here.
Yes, absolutely. And just to say also that sometimes you might have a question, you're feeling like you don't really know who to ask a certain question of. Maybe you're not really want to make it really clear or loud who you would, what the question would be. You don't want to go to a particular office. It's kind of maybe a private, more personal question. We really want to be that place for you. So related to whatever your challenges or whatever you're finding you don't know the answer to, and you don't know exactly where to go. That would be the sort of place to just show up. It's informal. We get to see each other, have some food, and we are a place and a resource for you to ask and get to know us as well.
All right. So as Jerry said, August 6th, mark your calendars. It'll be during orientation and we'll be on campus. So thank you. What's next? Jerry, would you like to kind of close us?
Absolutely. Looks like Anchi has put some info in the chat for driver's license. So those of you looking for that can see it. But we're going to have another one of these on same time as today, Thursday, July 15th. We'll introduce hopefully some more team members from the Academic Affairs Office as we're getting closer to getting you here and seeing you at orientation. Remember, until you arrive, please continue to reach out to your recruiting manager if you have questions. They'll connect with us if there's something they're not updated on, but they're still your primary contact. Remember the International HQ pre-arrival steps that we talked about. And one of those steps was to have your resume ready. If you could please have it ready by our next meeting time of July 15th, that would be lovely. And to remember, put it on your calendar. The first ISCG meeting will be Friday, August 6th, and it will also be part of the orientation schedule. So you'll see it once you get your access to the full orientation schedule. And if there are any questions that we didn't answer, and if you still aren't sure about the orientation assistant role or something like that, reach out to the best person you know, and we'll get the question answered to you for you. Thanks, everybody.
Jerry, can I put
Thank
it?
you all.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Kim. Hold on.
So for MBA students, please reach out to your recruiting manager and let him know when you get your visa and the date of your arrival in Nashville. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
And for MSF, let me know that when you get your visa, when you plan to arrive in Nashville. I'll add it to my calendar. Thanks, y'all.
Anybody else? Any last items?
All right. Well, great to see you all. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. Nice to see you. We look forward to having you here soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to stop the recording, Brooke?